This is the world of the Mongol warrior, one of the most efficient military hierarchies the pre-modern world ever built. It ran on a simple idea: organize the entire fighting population into units of 10 and multiply upward from there. Rank here was built on the battlefield, not inherited at birth. Almost. But before we reach the one ceiling that no battlefield record could ever bypass, we begin at the bottom. You begin as one of two kinds of men. You might be a Mongol commoner born into a herding family, riding and shooting a bow before you could reliably walk. Or you might be a conquered soldier, absorbed into the army after your own people's forces were broken. Conquered recruits were rarely kept together as their own unit. They were mixed into existing Mongol squads, a few at a time, scattered like that. No group of new recruits could gather enough of its own men in one place to rebel. Whichever path brought you here, you are now assigned to an Arban, a squad of exactly 10 men. The Arban is the smallest unit in the entire Mongol military system, and it is also its foundation. You are issued at least one riding horse, often several remounts, a bow, and whatever armor your rank allows. You do not choose your Arban. It is chosen for you, and you will live, fight, and quite possibly die inside it. The 9 other men in it are no longer just comrades. Under Mongol military law, they are your liability, and you are theirs. If one man in an Arban breaks and flees the field, the punishment does not always stop with him. All 10 could be held responsible together. That threat was written into the discipline of the army you have just joined. From the single 10-man unit, an entire empire's chain of command was built upward, 10 at a time. 10 Arbans make a Jagun. 10 Jaguns make a Minggan. 10 Minggans make a Tumen. Above the Tumen sits a rank so rare that only a handful of men held it in the empire's entire history. This is where the climb begins. Level 1. You are a rank-and-file member of your Arban, a squad of 10. You have no title of your own yet. You are simply 1/10 of a unit. Your training is riding and shooting, together, for hours until the two stop feeling like separate skills. You learn to shoot accurately at a full gallop towards your target and, just as often, while riding away from it. The feigned retreat, drawing an enemy forward before turning to destroy them, is a core Mongol tactic, and every Arban has to execute it without breaking formation. You are expected to keep several horses, rotating your mounts, so no single animal is ever ridden to exhaustion. You care for your own horses, your own gear, and your own share of dried meat and curd, carried to keep you self-sufficient on campaign. Your Arban Darga, the leader of your 10, corrects your formation riding and your shot discipline personally. You drill signal discipline, flags, torches, and whistling arrows. Since a scattered cavalry force is only as strong as its ability to move as one, you are not yet trusted with independent decisions. You move when your Arban moves and stop when it stops. The 9 men beside you are watching how you perform because your failure is now written against their names too. Discipline here is not cruelty for its own sake. An army that cannot hold formation at speed is not an army at all. Survive your first campaign season and you become something more than an unknown face in a 10-man line. Level 2. You have survived your first campaign and proven yourself inside your Arban. You are trusted with more horses now, sometimes 5 or more per rider, giving you real reach and endurance on the march. Your bow work has sharpened. You can loose arrows accurately from a full gallop in almost any direction. You know your Arban's signals so well you barely think about them. Turning and reforming is a reflex, not a command. You have taken a share of plunder for the first time, a portion allotted by strict custom, not left to individual looting. Looting outside your allotted share was itself a serious offense. One more sign of how tightly this system controlled its own men. You are still formally just 1 of 10. But your Arban-u Darga now relies on you specifically for certain tasks. You've proven you can be trusted at speed, under pressure, without breaking the formation the whole system depends on. Level 3. You are named Arban-u Darga, commander of your own 10-man squad. This is the first true rank in the Mongol military, and the foundation every higher command is built on. You are responsible for the training, discipline, equipment, and battlefield conduct of the 9 men now under you. If your Arban breaks formation or flees, that failure is now formally yours to answer for. You report upward to the commander of your Jagun, the 100-man unit your Arban belongs to. You have earned a small amount of independent authority for the first time. Small decisions made without waiting on an order from above. You've climbed as far as a single unit of 10 can take you. To rise further, a much larger unit has to trust you completely. Level 4. You are Jagun-u Darga, commander of a Jagun, 100 men across 10 Arbans. This is as far as raw ability alone reliably carries a warrior with no bloodline behind his name. You now coordinate 10 Arban commanders at once, turning a single order into 10 separate, precisely timed movements. Your Jagun might specialize. Light horse archers built for skirmishing and encirclement, or heavier lancers built for the closing charge. You are trusted with real tactical decisions in the field now, not just discipline inside your own unit. You have done everything the battlefield rewards. You have led. You have won. Commanders above you have noticed your name, and here, for almost every man who reaches this level, something becomes clear that no further promotion will ever change. Command of 1,000 is possible from here. Command of 10,000 is possible from here. But there is one seat in this entire system that ability alone was never built to reach. On one side stands the Golden Family, the direct bloodline of Genghis Khan and his wife Borte. On the other side stands everyone else. It is not a wall of skill. It is a wall of blood. Mongol tradition held that only a descendant of that one bloodline could legitimately rule as Khan. A commander could conquer entire kingdoms in the Khan's name and still never be permitted to wear his title. This was not an unwritten custom that quietly faded. It was enforced and defended for generations after Genghis Khan's own death. Talent in the field and legitimacy on the throne were two entirely separate currencies, and no amount of the first could buy the second. An army could chant a general's name after a great victory, and the bloodline principles still would not move an inch. This mattered for the rest of a man's career. Long after any single battle was won, a commander could earn wealth, land, titles, even command of tens of thousands, and still remain permanently outside that one family. This is the limit the story of the Mongol army keeps returning to. Not every hierarchy rewards its best performers with its highest seat. This one, by design, almost never did for every non-Genghisid commander who ever served. No matter how far he rose, this was the ceiling. One man came closer to that ceiling than almost anyone else in Mongol history ever would. His name was Subutai. He was not born a Mongol at all. He came from the Uriankai, a forest people known for smithing and fur trading, not horsemanship. His father, by most accounts, was a blacksmith. Subutai entered Genghis Khan's service as a common retainer, not as anyone's relative. Over more than 2 decades, he directed more than 20 major campaigns for Genghis Khan and, later, his son Ogedei. He is credited with conquering more territory than any other single commander in recorded history, stretching Mongol power from China to the edge of Europe. He rose to command tens of thousands of men, holding authority that placed him above chiliarchs and regional nobles many times over. This was not one warrior winning fame in a single battle. This was a commoner from a non-Mongol tribe becoming the empire's chief architect of conquest. History remembers Subutai precisely because what he achieved was almost unthinkable for a man of his birth inside this hierarchy. And still, for all of it, the Golden Family seat was never his to take. He died a commander in service, not a ruler. The empire he helped build did not change its bloodline principle afterward. It held for generation after generation of his successors. The exception proved the rule. Beyond this wall, the most gifted commander the empire ever produced still did not cross it. Level 5. You are Minggan-u, commander of a Minggan-u, 1,000 men across 10 Jaguns. For every commander still climbing below you, this was a level of authority almost none of them would ever reach. You now hold real strategic responsibility, not just tactical command inside a single engagement. Your name is known outside your own unit, discussed among other commanders planning a wider campaign. You are trusted to hold an independent position on the march, securing a river crossing or flank without direct oversight. You command Jagun leaders who themselves command Arban leaders, 3 full layers of the latter now answering to you. Even so, you remain entirely outside the one bloodline that was never open to you, exactly as you were at the very bottom. This is a level of command the Arban recruit at the bottom of the ladder could barely imagine, and still short of what waits above. Level 6. You are a proven Minggan commander, one of only a handful trusted at this scale in any single campaign. Senior generals now weigh your record when deciding who leads the next major thrust of an invasion. Your unit is given harder assignments deliberately. The flank most likely to be tested, the crossing most likely to be contested. You have begun to accumulate real wealth and standing, land and livestock granted for service. Apart from any single campaign's plunder, you are close enough to the Empire's highest ranks to see exactly which few men stand above you. Level 7. You are Tumen-u Noyan, commander of a Tumen, 10,000 men. This is one of the highest formal military ranks in the entire Mongol system, held by only a small number of men at any time. Your name is known across the Empire's command structure. Not just within your own campaign, you are entrusted with independent operations. Sometimes an entire wing of a war fought hundreds of miles from the main army. To command 10,000 men under this system was a level of trust few outside the Golden Family were ever given. Level 8. You have been admitted to the Kheshig, the Great Khan's personal imperial guard. This is not simply a higher formal rank. It is a different kind of standing entirely. The Kheshig served as bodyguard and closest circle to the Khan himself, split between a day guard and a night guard. Membership was drawn from proven warriors and the sons of loyal commanders. But it had to be earned, not merely inherited, by the customs of the army. An ordinary Kheshig guard outranked a Minggan commander in status, regardless of formal military rank. You now stand physically closer to the seat of power than almost anyone else in the Empire who was not born into it. You have reached the summit of what proximity and trust, rather than bloodline, can earn a man in this system. Level 9. You are named Orlok, given command of an entire Ordu, 30,000 men or more. This title was granted directly by the Khan, and only a small number of men ever held it across the Empire's history. You now direct campaigns at the scale of nations, not single battles, deciding when whole armies march and where they strike. Subutai, the commoner who broke every ceiling but one, was among the very few men ever raised to this rank. The title marks you as one of the greatest commanders the Empire ever produced. In the company of men whose campaigns reshaped continents, it does not make you Khan, and it was never going to. That was true the day you were assigned to your first Arban, and it remains true now. Level 10. The Empire's right hand, the rare Orlok who commands armies, conquers nations, and is remembered by name for centuries afterward. Most warriors who entered the system at the bottom never rose past their first Arban. Fewer still ever reached this height. Some Orloks kept serving into old age, directing campaigns from the saddle long after their contemporaries had retired or died. Some became the trusted regents and advisors of Khans, shaping imperial policy without ever holding the throne themselves. In the memory of the Empire, in the chronicles written by its enemies as much as its own historians, this man is a legend. Names like Subutai's outlasted the Empire itself, recorded centuries later on continents his own soldiers had barely heard of, and still, in the strict order of the Golden Family, he was exactly what he had always been: brilliant, indispensable, and permanently outside it. The wall a commander like this reached through authority and conquest was never the same. While a member of the Golden Family was simply born past, one kind of man inherited the ceiling. The other spent a lifetime climbing every rung the ladder was ever built to offer, and still found it there, waiting. This was the Mongol warrior's hierarchy, a ladder that rewarded skill, discipline, and command without limit, but never quite all the way to the top. You could give it your whole life, climb every rung the Empire allowed, and reach a height only a handful of men in its entire history ever reached. And still, the one seat the whole system was built to protect would be exactly as far away as it was on the first day you rode out with your Arban.